Welcome. Scott here. I will be covering on the upcoming 7th boss rush event, Cavern of No Return. The featured units that are synergy for the event are Ceodore from Final Fantasy IV The After Years, Fang from Final Fantasy XIII, Beatrix from Final Fantasy IX, Aranea from Final Fantasy XV and Rem from Final Fantasy Type 0. In the JP version, Kais and Lily set are also synergy for the event. Depending on the circumstances, we could have additional synergy units. The event will mark the debut of Fang LD and her rework. Both Fang and Beatrix will get their C90 awakenings. Before I continue further, here is a small disclaimer clause for the video. The guide is written based on the time that the boss rush event was released for the Japanese version. Please do note that it is possible that the boss fight mechanics might differ when the actual event is released in global. Firstly, let's recap the rules of the boss rush. To get the full rewards, you need to complete the very hard version of the boss rush stage with a maximum of 3 parties. Bringing the characters that I have mentioned earlier, the party will receive synergy stats. So, try to spreading them out into different teams. Throughout the fight, there will be an action counter of 30. Any brave, HP, skill, AA, call or BT finisher will count towards to the 30 count. Burst and summon phase do not count toward to the 30 count. Despite the reduction in the orb counter, the LUFENIA auras are not the usual 90/90ths brave damage and brave gain reductions. The fight feature more lenient standard LUFENIA auras. Allies on a team cannot be used on later teams, however calls can be used across multiple teams. Summon must be unique to each team. Inflicted debuffs are reset once you have swapped teams. LUFENIA orb count and boss recast remain the same after swapping teams. Since there is an actions restriction for boss rush, it is best to abuse off-turn damage mechanics. Characters with traps and counters will do damage even it is not their turn. Removal of speed passives can be strategically useful for certain characters. Now, let's proceed with a quick overview on the entire boss rush. Like the previous boss rush events, you will be fighting 3 waves of enemies for the event. For wave 1, you will be fighting 2 guard scorpions which has 11.5 million HP each. The LUFENIA Orb Condition is to deal increased HP damage from a debuff or disable their turn. For wave 2, you will be fighting 2 Dark Dragon Soul, which has 11 million HP each. The LUFENIA Orb Condition is to inflict 2 debuffs in a turn. For wave 3 and the final wave, you will be fight 2 Great Malboro, which has 12 million HP each. The LUFENIA Orb Condition is to deal holy brave damage or cleanse a debuff. The enemies don't have any major resistances. The score requirement for the entire boss rush is 1,060,000 and the HP requirements is 15,000. To get all rewards, you need to complete with a maximum of 3 party used. Unlike previous boss rush, completing the boss rush very hard mode stage will complete the boss rush hard mode stage as well. Let's talk more about the first wave. The boss for this wave is 2 guard scorpions. On the screen you can see the timeline of the thresholds to watch out for along with the table of the LUFENIA aura triggers. The boss will activate machine shift at the 79% and 59% HP thresholds where they will delay their own turns and gain break immunity. They will follow up each other turns. If Scorpion A acts, Scorpion B will follow up its turn immediately. To break the union, you need to trigger a launch. The boss has a recast ability Burst Laser. Keeping its brave low to avoid the more dangerous plus variant is important. Firstly, let's go through in detail with the LUFENIA Orb Condition. The LUFENIA Orb will be activated at the 79%. It is a non-cancelable orb. To uptick the orb, you need to do either one of the following. 1. Have the count target received increased HP damage up from a debuff. 2. Have the count target unable to act. The conditions heavily favors the mechanics of the featured LD synergy unit Fang. She will be able to uptick both orb conditions, and launching is an important key to break the boss break immunity union mechanic. For units to fulfill the first condition, you can bring them in the party or bring them as a call. Units that offer HP damage up debuff are Karasame, Gabrinth, Ignis, Lily-Set, Fran, and Dark Knight Cecil. For units that offer turn disable via either paralysis, confusion, or HP silence, you can consider the following examples. They are Kefka, Arsila, Agrias, Aldnark, Cloud, Shantato, Ash, and Purim. Let's go through briefly on the key mechanics that you need to watch out for this wave. The boss recast gauge will start at 0% and it will take 3 actions to fill it. It will use the plus variant of its recast ability when its brave is around 30% of its max brave. The normal version of the recast ability, Burst Laser, is a brave gain, guaranteed hit, single AoE brave plus HP. The plus variant of the recast ability, Burst Laser Plus, is a dispelling target units buffs, brave gain, guaranteed hit, double AoE brave plus HP. As mentioned earlier, the boss will delay their own turns upon triggering the machine shift mechanic. The machine shift mechanic will trigger when one of the scorpions' HP drop to 79% and 59% HP thresholds. They will become immune to breaks and will follow up their actions after their partner act. To break this mechanic, you need to trigger a launch. So, bring a launch-oriented party is important here. If you don't break them, they will use the plus variant of their basic abilities, Foot Stomp Plus and Scorpion Tail Plus, when they get their turns. Together with the LUFENIA Aura activation, the boss will also activate shields at 79% and 49% with Field Generator. Now let's go into more in-depth on the boss mechanics. The boss will gain all stats boost when the LUFENIA auras are triggered at the start of the fight, 79% and 49% HP thresholds. At the 49% HP threshold, the boss will gain a total of 200% stats boost along with 80% brave damage reduction with 50% brave gain reduction auras. To overcome the auras, you can inflict defense down debuffs and utility that offers brave damage up. Examples are Jack's Katana Wounds and Sephiroth Cellular Erosion debuffs. At the 79% and 49% HP threshold, they will activate the Field Generator, where they will gain a light purple shield aura that scales off the boss' initial brave stats. Try to kill the scorpions both at the same time. The surviving one will activate Limiter Disengaged, which will further boost all its stats by 50% and speed by 80%. On the screen, you will see the screenshots on how the machine shift mechanics work. You will trigger the mechanic when one of the guard scorpions' HP drop to 79% and 59%. Upon triggering, the guard scorpion will delay their turns by 2 and they will gain break immunity. To remove the stance, you need to launch one of them. Upon launching them, you will see the message that the union has been severed. If you don't break the stance with a launch and allow them to act, they will use the plus variants of their basic abilities. Foot Stomp Plus is a single target brave plus HP attack and it will dispel all the target buffs. Scorpion Tail Plus is a single target brave attack and grants initial brave up buff for the scorpion and brave for their party. Upon using these abilities, they will break their union stance. As you can see that the boss could do some nasty dispelling. Most of the JP runs feature a launch and delay strategy, to the point I don't have any pictures of the recast ability. In my opinion, this is the hardest wave for this boss rush event. For the second wave, you will be fight 2 Dark Dragon Souls. In my opinion, this is probably the fodder wave for the entire boss rush. The Dark Dragon Soul is actually one of the most harmless bosses in the game. They gain magic resistance with Soul Push and melee resistance upon the second use of Soul Cry. The LUFENIA Aura will trigger at the start of the wave and 79% HP thresholds. Firstly, let's go through in detail with the LUFENIA Orb Condition. The LUFENIA Orb will be activated at the 79%. It is a non-cancelable orb. To uptick the orb, you just need to inflict 2 debuffs in a turn. There are a lot of units that can do that. On the screen I have listed down the recent units that have the capability. The boss will always start off with Group Darka. After 3 Darka, it will use Soul Push where it will gain 5 buffs. You will see 3 purple fireballs surrounding the boss. With that, it will follow up with Soul Cry where they will raise their attack. On their following turn, they will use Crushing Fang, which is a single target, Gravity Brave shaving attack that will most likely break a target. As the fight goes on and if you give them the chance, the effects of Soul Cry will power up. The boss doesn't have any HP attack other than its standard lunge attack. I have labeled Beatrix as the MVP unit for this wave because of her ability to dispel the buffs and she can uptick the orb with her LD. Now let's go into more in-depth on the boss mechanics. The boss will activate its LUFENIA auras at the start of the wave and 79% HP threshold. The max stat boosts they can get is 150%. The maximum brave damage reduction aura is 75% and the maximum brave gain reduction aura is 40%. On the screen you will see 2 tables show the effects of Soul Cry and Soul Push. The boss is weak against physical attacks and strong against magic after it activates the second Soul Push. The boss is weak against magic and strong against physical attacks after it activate the third Soul Cry. Most of the videos that I have watched feature boss no turns and most of them have finish up the boss before the boss can use the third Soul Cry. As long you can dispel its buffs, the bosses are just mere punching bags for your party. For the last wave, you will be fighting 2 Great Malboros. We have actually fought them in the recent Lena LD global event, Malboros Nights. The LUFENIA aura will trigger at the start of the wave, 79% HP thresholds and 49% HP thresholds. The reductions auras are similar to the guard scorpions. On the screen, you can see the 4 key moves of the Marlboro that you need to take note of. Firstly, let's go through in detail with the LUFENIA Orb Condition. The LUFENIA Orb will be activated at the 79%. It is a non-cancelable orb. To uptick the orb, you need to do either one of the following. 1. Deal Holy Brave damage. 2. Cleanse a debuff. The orb is designed to the strengths of the featured BT unit, Ceodore. Ceodore have become a party-wide holy enchanter with his LD and have debuff cleansing utility. You can do boss no turns if you bring a party holy enchanter. The other party holy enchanters are Paladin Cecil, Kuja, Ash, and Eiko. Ash can provide 6-turn party holy enchant with her LDCA and Ceodore's base call can provide the caller 3-turn holy enchant. If you are going without a party holy enchanter, make sure you bring some debuff cleansing utility. Units that offer debuff cleansing are Ceodore, Yuna, Sid Reigns, Mog, Pain, Shellcat, Bald Here and Yuffie. Both Marlboro will starts off with Noxious Saliva. If you have any debuff evasion unit, make sure you bring a holy enchanter or your party will get wiped by the countdown ability if the orb counter reaches 0. If you are using the debuffs cleansing, you need to give boss a turn, so do take note of the moves that boss gives debuff so you can cleanse it. Now let's go into more in depth on the boss mechanics. The boss will gain all stats boost when the LUFENIA auras are triggered at the start of the fight, 79% and 49% HP thresholds. At the 49% HP threshold, the boss will gain a total of 200% stats boost along with 80% brave damage reduction with 50% brave gain reduction auras. To overcome the auras, you can inflict defense down debuffs and utility that too offers brave damage up. Now I will be explaining briefly on the boss key attacks. Noxious Saliva is a single target brave attack which will first have the target's brave and grant itself 70% max brave and inflict 4 debuffs. Do prepare some traps or freeze debuffs to lower its brave gain or make sure you have means to shave it. If the Marlboro has high brave, it will most like uses its Impale HP attack. Rancid Breath is an AoE brave attack that inflicts 2-turn attack down on all targets. Crunch will result the Marlboro to cleanse non-framed debuffs and it is double single brave attack. Corrode is a single brave plus HP attack and inflicts the poison debuff. If the boss can't gain any brave from the brave hits, the attack will deal 0 damage. The boss will start off with the standard rotation. After the 49% HP threshold, it will shorten the cycle. If you bring Holy Enchanter, you can simply do boss no turns to end the fight. If you doing the counter and hit game, make sure you have someone having debuff cleansing utility in your party or use them as a call. Now let's go into more in depth on the boss mechanics. The boss will gain all stats boost when the LUFENIA auras are triggered at the start of the fight, 79% and 49% HP thresholds. At the 49% HP threshold, the boss will gain a total of 200% stats boost along with 80% brave damage reduction with 50% brave gain reduction auras. To overcome the auras, you can inflict defense down debuffs and utility that too offers brave damage up. Here is a summary slide on the key mechanism that you need to watch out for. For Wave 1, go with launch-oriented setup. Inflict HP damage up debuff and you can just do boss no turns. The boss will delay themselves with machine shift, which is nice addition for a launch and delay setup. As launch is the most commonly used strategy for this wave, you can use Pandemonium Summon for the fight. Kais and Selfie are great launch supports that you can use for this wave as well. For Wave 2, this is technically a fodder wave. You can easily uptick the orb as long as you bring a debuffer. The boss doesn't have any harmful mechanics other than buffing itself. Dispellers will help a lot for this wave. For last wave, you can do no boss turns as long as you have a party-wide Holy Enchanter. If you have any debuff evasion unit, make sure you bring a Holy Enchanter or your party will get wiped by the countdown ability. You can consider bring Alexander as your summon for this wave. If you are using the debuffs cleansing, you need to give boss a turn so you have the debuffs to cleanse it. Overall, the boss rush fight won't be too difficult if you have lots of burst plus units in your roster. If you are still struggling, you can visit dissidiainfo.com for the call to arms videos for more runs ideas. In my opinion, this boss rush is probably the easiest boss rush that we have to date. We have come to the end of the boss guide. Thank you for watching the video. If you like the video, please do give the video a like. Please do subscribe to my channel for future similar gaming content. Bye.